Good afternoon, guys. It is 3:30. We'll go ahead and get started and determine the quorum. We'll start off with introductions. Tyler Davis. Livestock Poultry Commissioner.
Marcus Creasy, Commissioner out of Cleveland County.
Bruce Mallett, the Commissioner of Columbia County.
Mike Malone, Commissioner of White County.
On Zoom, we've got can you hear us, Dr. Crone?
Hi, Dr. Sarah Throne.
And Dr. Hewitt, you can hear us?
Yeah, Bill Hewitt, Commissioner from Washington County.
All right. Thank you, guys. We do have a quorum. I guess we can go around the room. Other introduction.
Hey, Tyler. Hey,
Yeah.
Tyler.
I didn't think Tommy was coming.
Dan Wright's on the line too.
All right, thank you, guys. I wasn't sure you guys were gonna make it or not. We just don't have Chad Chester yet. You have a good tour. All right, we want to continue with the introduction.
Patrick Fisk, Livestock Poultry, Department of Agriculture.
Sam.
Tanner Thomas, attorney, Arkansas Department of Agriculture.
Linda Lefty, Department of Ag.
Joe Barber, Livestock Marketing Association.
Department
of Agriculture.
Based in Arkansas, also still buying more.
David Cooper, used to be a veterinary services.
Okay. And Salmon.
Unit Christian Development Association and Retail.
Dr. Chelsea Smith, owner of Broken Up Veterinary Services, and also with Holly Harris, just a visitor, Arkansas County. Nice to meet you all.
Scott Sullivan. John Fuller, Department of Agriculture.
James Hans, Department of Agriculture.
Lauren G. Livestock Poultry. First, Livestock Poultry. Livestock Poultry.
Andrea Hall.
Michael Lay, Arkansas County.
Sherry Ellen, Department of Agriculture.
Gilman Trade, Arkansas Department of Agriculture. Kevin Simmons, Arkansas Department of Agriculture.
Alex Johnson, Department of Agriculture.
Blake Walter, Department of Agriculture. Jeffrey Powell, Department of Agriculture.
No. All right, thank you, guys, and welcome to our meeting. It's sure nice to get to do this with cattlemen's and always good to attend. Before us, we've got the minutes from our April 10th meeting. You guys should have received those by email, and if you don't see any changes, I'll entertain a motion to approve. I move the minutes to approve. Motion been made by Bruce Mallett. Here a second. Second by Dr. Malone. No further discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed.
Hey, Patrick, is there any way you guys can get that volume up louder? We can barely hear you guys.
Yes, we'll work on that. Bring the mics a little closer and I'll turn it much.
You hear us, Dr. Brown? Is that better? Sarah,
Speak a little bit more.
is that better?
That seems better.
Okay, I'm gonna turn it over to Patrick.
Thank you.
Keep it close. Okay, we're gonna deviate from the agenda just a little bit, and introduce Tanner Thomas, attorney with the Department of Agriculture, to discuss what is in section 4 under general activities, and start with administrative consent orders.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for coming. Like Patrick said, my name's Tanner Thomas. I am one of the attorneys here at the Department of Agriculture. Appreciate the chance and appreciate y'all coming out. I have to speak. So first things I want to cover the easy stuff first. We have 3 consent agreements that have been sent out to veterinarians that had complaints filed against them. These veterinarians had received these consent agreements, which is basically settlement. They have penalties. They accept the findings, of fact, and conclusions of law that was sent to them. And that is Dr. Brian Vandergrift, B.R. Cato, and Teresa Miller. Dr. Vandergrift had a $500 civil penalty, 8 extra hours of CE. Dr. Cato had 4 extra hours of CE record keeping and submit 3 medical records per month for the next 6 months. He's already sent some in, and he's hopped on it pretty quick, and he's wanted to comply and do what he needs to do with this. He signed it, sent it in, and Dr. Miller also had 7 hours of continuing education. I've got a copy of these here, and I'm a little bit newer to the Department of Agriculture and also being an attorney. I walked right in and I saw these older consent agreements, and they had a double kind of approval clause that had them there at the very end, say, hey, this agreement's not effective until it's approved again by the Livestock and Poultry Commission. I didn't want to rock the boat or do anything extra on that. And so I kept it as is, but looking at these things now, if the commission on future consent agreements, if the commission offers something to somebody, that's offer, they accept it, that's contract. And so we won't have to do this anymore. So I have these 3 here. If someone wants to make a motion to approve them and accept them as compliance.
So moved.
Motion been made by Dr. Hewitt to approve the consent agreement. Your second?
A second.
Second by Bruce Mallett.
Can you do that?
Any further
I don't know.
discussion?
Is there, who's on the veterinary subcommittees? Does it matter?
He can. Yes, that's correct. At least in this particular situation.
All right, so motion's been made by Dr. Hewitt, seconded by Bruce Mallett. If no further discussion.
Can you speak into the microphone?
Golly. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposition. Motion passed.
All right, now. The next 6, we do get into a little bit of tricky territory. These are consent agreements that were sent to these veterinarians. The commission has voted to extend these to these particular veterinarians, and they have either not been returned and not signed, or in one case here, we have a refusal to sign an acknowledgement, and it's gone through, and she has hired an attorney, retained counsel, and she's pushed back on that. I put her at the very last, but on the first 6 here, the first 5 consent agreements, it is on the exact same veterinarian, meaning all 5 of these is one veterinarian. And we have, these are not included in any sort of packet or docket, because the next step after there's not a signed consent agreement and they've been properly noticed, this one veterinarian has counsel. It's been sent to the veterinarian and his counsel on 2 different occasions. He has been given, in certain instances, at least 2 30-day periods to comply. And at least one of those in each and every instance has been, it's gone past it. So it is docket number 2023-12, 2023-13, and 2022-05. And then lastly, 2022-04. These were not included in the packets that were sent to y'all prior to this meeting here. If these are going to go to a hearing, which is what these are up for, since these are unsigned consent agreements, these need to be treated now as dockets, as if we were going to take them to some sort of civil trial, like you would submit them to a judge, since the commission is what we would term a quasi judicial entity here to make these decisions. There's a little bit of flexibility with the commission, but we try to play the rules better we can. So there are summaries to these 5 consent agreements, and if the commission wants to hear the facts, to go through these to see if the next step is a hearing, or vote on all of them as a package deal to schedule hearings on these, the commission has the ability to do that. Also, I would ask the commission that we give the director, Patrick Fisk, the ability to schedule some of these hearings a little ways down the line, since this veterinarian does have counsel, same with the other veterinarian, should you decide to go to a hearing on that very last issue, because if they have counsel, counsel's probably got trials set up. These are experienced litigators. I've talked to both of them. And Patrick has statutory authority to push forward and enforce the agenda of the commission to a certain extent. And the commission can authorize him to do certain things to make that forward. And so part of that motion would be to authorize Patrick to essentially authorize me to talk to these attorneys and try to figure out the best schedule and put this on the calendar a few months down the road to get these hearings on the map. So does anybody want to hear any sort of summary on these particular cases?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. Tanner, I mean, all of these have had a recommendation from either the veterinary subcommittee or this commission that some sort of penalty or assessment or training be assessed, correct?
Yes, sir.
And
That's correct.
they've either not responded or responded and that they did not accept.
Yes.
So I think to enforce the action of this body, then I think we should move forward with scheduling a hearing. And I don't think if we're going to have hearings, we don't need to get into it now. I just move that we move forward with hearings on each of these matters and authorize the director to schedule those as appropriate.
I'll second that.
So a motion's been made by Bruce Mallett to move forward with the hearing, second by Marcus Creasy. And we'll just leave it up to you, Patrick, to let us know. All right. Okay, so any further discussion on the matter at hand before we go to a vote? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any
Aye.
opposed by the same sign? No opposed. Motion passed. Anything else, Tanner?
All right. Yes. Mr. Chairman, I have, again, same veterinarian. The commission has already voted to have a hearing on this subject matter as well. It's a prior complaint that there is alleged noncompliance from the same veterinarian back in order from 2022. It's been a while. It got appealed and it got kicked back because the time for appeal had ceased. It had gotten dismissed by the Court of Appeals. And this was an old board of opinion and order. And we went through that. The last meeting that we had, I went through and I made sure that I had everything summarized as best I could and I presented the case as best I could to the commission. But I will say that this is, I'll take the hit for this. I should have asked the commission to set or to authorize Patrick to set an exact date, place, and time, which you have to for under the Administrative Procedure Act. And the only reason I kept this separate from those first five is because I'm lumping kind of subject matter together here. So if there's a motion to authorize Patrick and me to do that, go through that. That was my error. I apologize.
Is everybody clear what's in the subcommittee vote on these as well?
Yes, this
Okay.
this matter did not go.
All right, so the matter at hand is on a past appeal agreement to designate Patrick and Tanner to proceed. Do we have a motion on the floor?
Dan Wright, I'll make that motion.
Motion been made by Dan Wright. We hear a
Tommy
second.
Wren, I second it.
Second by Tommy Wren. If no, any further discussion? If not, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passed.
All right, and last but not least, we have, again, this is now a completely different veterinarian. And this is docket number 2022-16. It was an older complaint and it was one of the first ones that the new committee had gone through here and gone through the facts. This particular complaint and this particular veterinarian, it was alleged, had charged for services that had not been rendered. It was the owner asking for euthanasia of a cat. And this particular veterinarian had conversations back and forth and this is all allegedly, there hasn't been an official finding of fact by the commission here in any sort of hearing. And in this, looking through this, there was a determination that a finding by the committee and thereby the commission that this veterinarian charged for treatments that did not happen or contracting services in advance that did not occur, obtaining or attempting to obtain any fee, charge, tuition, or other compensation by fraud, deception, or misrepresentation, and conduct reflecting unfavorably upon the profession of veterinary medicine. That last one's a rule in the vet rules. And the penalty was 6 hours of continuing education in record keeping and 1 hour in client communication. I was kind of looking through the files and facts, and the respondent has hired counsel, and counsel has sent a letter stating their argument. The veterinarian does not believe that she had done anything wrong in this instance, in the circumstance. And I'm not a veterinarian or a commissioner on the Livestock and Poultry. I don't know if she did or didn't on this. I was looking at the file and looking at some things and trying to get a determination. The commission does have a right to go to hearing on this issue, and y'all can go through the fact finding process and go through a final determination on this. Looking through some of the billing and medical records that I saw on this, my official advice as an attorney to the commission, I would say, without getting any sort of opinion at this point, this one, I might recommend that we pass this down to the vet committee again to review on this, take a look at it again. And of course, the commission has a right to not do that and go forward to a hearing. Like Commissioner Malik just said, we wanted to extend penalties and extend a consent agreement. However, I'd say I would advise to move this back down to committee, and I will discuss that matter further with the committee itself.
That require a vote.
Yes, that would require a motion to vote.
What's the pleasure of the board, the commission on this one?
Tanner, did you say that this one was with the previous board or was reviewed with the current committee?
This one was from the committee's December meeting,
Okay.
December 12th to 23, I believe.
This is Dan Wright. I trust your intuition, so I think we'll just move it down to be reviewed again by the committee.
So Dan, is that a form of motion?
Yes.
All right, so motion's been made to move this particular case back to the vet committee. We hear a second.
I'll second.
Second by Chad Chester. Any further discussion? It's not. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you, commissioners. That is it for the past consent agreements and penalties that have either not been complied with or refused. Patrick, do you want me to go through some of the ones, not necessarily complaints, but the applications? Applications, all right. So, all right, commissioners, now we're going to more a positive side of veterinary medicine in the state of Arkansas. We have 6 veterinarian technician applications for the commission to approve. Should be noted that all 6 of these have gotten the blessing of the Veterinary Medical Examining Committee. And looking at this agenda here, I don't have a lot of the facts behind these people and these applications here. And I would open it up to any committee members that have anything to say about these particular applicants, anything that was said in the committee meeting. Positive. I go to church with them. I know their mom, nice kids, anything like that.
We had no personal knowledge of any of these applicants, but the association had vetted these applications and they had met all the requirements for application in Arkansas.
And the commission can approve these in a batch. So if y'all want to move so on that.
Dan Wright, I make a motion to approve these 6.
I'll second.
Second.
Motion by Dan Wright, second by Bruce Mike to approve these 6 vet tech applications. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passed.
All right, next we have a reciprocal licensure application for a veterinarian technician for the commission to approve. That is Kellyanne Bloomfield, CVT. And this was also approved by the Veterinary Medical Examining Committee. They recommend that the commission approve this particular vet tech. And so if there's any motions or discussions, open it up.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Member Tommy Wren. Second by Marcus Creasy. If no further discussion, all those in favor say aye. Motion passed.
Good deal. All right, next we have corporate application for veterinarian care of Dogwood Trails PC. Again, this is another veterinarian medical examining committee. I'll just call them the committee from now on. I don't know why I keep saying the full name. So the vet committee here has recommended to approve this corporate application, and they believe it's up to snuff, and so open to a motion or discussion.
Move be approved.
Second.
Motion by Bruce Malik, second by Dan Wright. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None noted. Motion passed.
All right, next we have 16 reciprocal licensure applications for veterinarians. And I will not list all 16 names. It's in the packet that you were given for this meeting here. And the committee has also voted to recommend to approve these reciprocal licenses.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Dan Wright, second by Tommy Wren to approve these vet licenses. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Motion passed.
Last but not least, we have 30 state examination licensure applications for veterinarians to the commission for approval. Does everybody want me to list off every name? Right there? I'm just kidding.
I think we're doing a good job.
You're doing good.
Fixing our vet problem. aren't we?
And these have been recommended by the committee to go through them. These are applications to take the test. Is that correct, Patrick? That's what I thought in reading that. That's what-
Motion to approve these applications.
That Dan.
Yeah.
Got a motion on the floor. Do we hear a second?
Second.
Second by Tommy Wren. No discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed.
All right, and that concludes my report. I thank y'all for talk. I'll hang around for a little bit, but my wife's gone, so I gotta go pick up my kid from daycare.
Thank you, Shannon.
Appreciate it.
All right, are we ready to move into counting? All right, Anusa.
This should be online. And this, are you online?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, on the financial report for the fourth quarter, the Livestock and Poultry division finished with an ending operating cash balance of 14.5 million. That is special and general revenue combined. Compared to the July 1 balance of 13,652,000, that is a net increase of a little bit over $798,000. We reported 12,340,000 in revenues between July 1, 2023 and June 30, 2024, with expenditures totaling 10,586,000. Ending with 14.5 million in fund balance. And given our ending fund balance of 14.5 million, the division is in a good position going into the new fiscal year 2025. I don't anticipate major issues in our operations going into the new fiscal year. Operations will continue as planned. And that concludes that financial report.
Thank you, Anusa. We want to take a motion. We need a motion to accept. All right. I entertain a motion to accept the financials.
So moved.
Motion by Dr. Bill Hewitt. Second. Second for Bruce Mallett. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None observed. All right, Dr. Niles is not with us today. I want to go to Patrick with our animal health.
I am online, sir.
Oh, there you go. All right, go ahead, Dr. Niles.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all letting me zoom in. Your veterinary staff has been disseminated across the state. Dr. Moffitt is in meat inspection training. I had a wonderful opportunity to go to the Farm Bureau summer meeting and got to hang out with a lot of livestock producers and circle through the commodities and listening to their cares and concerns across the state. So that was an excellent opportunity for us. And I couldn't quite make the trip from Jonesboro down to Hot Springs, so I took the Zoom option. But you have our administrative things that we've been tending to over in the veterinary side of livestock and poultry. If you have any questions on that, you can stop me, but I'll just kind of blast through those, picking up a lot of administrative duties, helping with the vet committee as much as we can. In the emergency preparedness and response, we've joined in a joint research project with the University of Missouri. They're going to come into Arkansas and work with some of our swine producers, talking about depop and disposal of carcasses in the state. So Dr. Moffitt went up there to that program and is bringing it into the state for our producers. We're already meeting with them and talked about it today with our swine producers at the Farm Bureau meetings. We did respond to that North Arkansas tornado, so they didn't request any state responses there. We did increase our response time. I'm hoping Blake will talk about this, and I want to commend his inspectors and himself for helping us put together a CO2 trailer vaporizer unit that expands our capabilities in the field for those responses. We're also planning, I put a note in there for consideration out of the FY25 Farm Bill, should be some funding that's going to be released in August for that National Disease Preparedness and Response Program. The acronym is NADPRAP. We're thinking about doing some surveillance testing in the sale barns in our markets to give us an idea of how widespread this new disease that we're dealing with, filaria, how far widespread that is in the state. So just kind of putting that out there and receiving thoughts and considerations on that for that next grant. We've been involved across the state in several different things there, talking about filaria and the longhorn tick. We joined forces with the Animal Science Department, Cattlemen's Association, getting the word out on that. A new twist was the public health and CDC are testing wastewater treatment plants, and they had an H5 detection in that, so that tends to trigger me into action. So we've talked to public health and CDC, and we've kind of got our heads wrapped around that it's just kind of a sentinel type testing, and we're going to work with them on biosecurity protocols for the waste management plants. So we're all out in the field talking about the new EID for the electronic ear tags. That date is still set for November 5th, that all cattle and bison only that are crossing state lines, excuse me, will need to have one of those electronic devices in their ear or some form of electronic official identification. So I put some disease notes in there as well. Good thing is no new cases of trick this quarter. We continue to watch that. We do have avian metapneumovirus that's still active and getting new cases around the state. And I put some data in there about the dairy influenza. We can keep track with that. I spoke to the dairy commodity group about some of the incentive programs that are associated with this outbreak, and they are only voluntary right now. Mycoplasma is kind of on the increase. We've had 14 backyard cases since May, and so we've been working on those, doing some epi studies on those, testing those and going over the options for those backyard birds. We're going to try to do a tally of those Many of those are associated with spent hen movements into those backyard operations. And we had our first case confirmed of Eastern equine encephalitis, and we put out immediate response on that and putting out a piece to the veterinarians to get ready for that. It rolled through the last 2 or 3 years. Very easy to control with vaccinations and parasite control. I put some notes in here and updated that on the fly. By the time I turned this report in, we had a report of another filaria case there. We have 5 in Boone County and 3 in Searcy County for a total of 8 filaria positive cases. And some of those producers are being very gracious and letting our University of Arkansas folks hit the ground and do some tick searches in there. And they have found that longhorn tick in 2 of those operations in Boone and Searcy County. And touching base with some of the livestock operators there at the Farm Bureau meetings, they're well receptive about us going out and doing tick checks on our cows. So that's it. Unless anybody has any points of clarification or other questions for animal health.
Anybody have anything for Dr. Niles? All right, thank you, Dr. Niles. We'll move into egg and poultry with Ms. Sherry Ellis.
Good afternoon. Egg and poultry, we've had a very successful quarter this quarter. In April, we had the eclipse and everything went very well. We did have a few locations that did not work, but most of them continued work. They just worked their schedules around that so that they could continue working. Our employees did travel along with that. They managed to get everything done. They didn't have any downtime or anything with that. So that all went well. Arch Farms, which was formerly Pete and Jerry's, they have changed names, changed ownership. They are back to having scheduled service 5 days a week with a grader on staff during that time. In May, Mid-States Egg Berryville let us know that they are remodeling, they are adding on to their facility, and they are going to, by December, have a total of 46 packer lanes at their facility. So they're going to increase to 2 graders, possibly 3 at that facility. So that's going to increase our staff. We received a call from Ben Salmons, formerly of Black Sheep Egg Company. He is now with American Farmer Egg Company. They split off. So they are 2 different locations in Northeast Arkansas. In June, we were notified from USDA, rates will be increasing in October, anywhere from $6 to $8 an hour. So our rates will go up. We have sent that out to all of the facilities. They have not decreased at all. We're going to still see increases with our production. They continue to use us. School lunch commodities, this quarter, they received approximately 2.6 million pounds of commodity contracts at different locations. So we're working through all those. They also received what is TFAP or bonus buy commodities. Those are approximately 328,000 of those. Those are leg quarters and breast meat products. In auditing, food defense audits, this quarter we did 17 food defense audits, 3 child nutrition audits, and we have been awarded 3 United Egg Producer audits. We will do those closer towards October. We did 3 cage-free audits this quarter and 3 contractor check loading audits and 1 label review audit. In surveillance inspections at the egg plants, we did 22 for this quarter. In production volume for this quarter for poultry, we did 442 million pounds of production, 350 million pounds of turkey, and 1.7 million cases of eggs. We did not do any rabbit this quarter. They just didn't have the product. We mailed out renewals for egg handler permits to 248 locations. We had some that have closed or consolidated, or they just do not send product to Arkansas anymore, so they did not renew. But we did receive renewal on 212 locations, and that's $60 per renewal. We inspected at grocery store locations, 1,000 locations this quarter. 156,000 dozen cartons, and we had 4 warnings sent out. And outreach this quarter, we did outreach for the Arkansas Beef Egg Strawberry Month in May, and then we had a very good turnout. We had approximately 140 attendees. Thank you to everyone that participated in that. And then we attended the National Egg Quality School in Utah, and it was a very good turnout there also. Any questions?
Any questions for Sherry? All right.
Thank you.
Sherry. Dr. Pula. For laboratory report.
Good afternoon, y'all. Thank you for the opportunity. I have several items on the list, but I'll just highlight few of these in the interest of time. As some of you know, Arkansas Department of Agriculture's Veterinary Diagnostic Laboratory has been working with UFA over the past several years with their veterinary diagnostic laboratory to help serve the community out there, especially poultry industry. USDA's National Animal Health Laboratory Network recognizes them as our branch laboratory, and one of the requirements was for them to be accredited. And over the course of time, we've been working with them extensively towards this accreditation. And this May, finally, they were recognized by American Association of Laboratory Accreditation as our branch laboratory. They are now added to our scope of accreditation, which is a big deal from the quality standpoint. I will continue overseeing their quality management. Moving on to the testing, we now offer 2 pseudorabies tests. We, up until recently, were offering just one. Now we have a screening as well as a confirmatory test that we now offer on site in Little Rock. Regarding the Coggins testing, to help better serve our veterinarians, we now offer submissions. In addition to global VetLink, our clients can submit Coggins electronic requests through VSPS, Veterinary Service Processing Streamlining. It's a federal program, free of cost. We just did a trial run using to use this service, and it's also available to our clients in addition to global VetLink. During the last season, raising season, we received 16 horses for necropsy due to space limitations and incineration limitations. We couldn't take 2 of the horses, which were sent to Oklahoma. We are trying to improve upon this issue, mitigate this challenge for the next season. Our poultry necropsies, we saw a 2-fold increase in commercial poultry cases in the last quarter compared to the same time period from 2023. Overall poultry submissions have also increased by about 50% compared to last year, which I'll chalk it up to their confidence, our clients' confidence in our quality and in our efficiency. And I thank you for the opportunity. If you have any questions regarding what I've discussed or any other components, please let me know.
Any questions for Dr. Pula?
Dr. Pula, this is, I guess, more curiosity, and I don't know if you can elaborate or not, but I was just curious, with 16 horses from Oaklawn, is that a usual number? And then what were some of the findings for the reasons?
It's a lot of them were broken bones and stuff like that. Nothing detrimental, either food or disease or anything like that. It's just regular injuries, stress injuries. But it's hard to manage. We last year during 23 season, we received 22 horses. So it went down by a little bit, and we had few storage challenges. We are limited in storage, cold storage capacity. And so unfortunately, we couldn't take some of those horses. And incineration, we are looking into replacing our incinerator. So hopefully we'll have a more efficient system as well. But it's always a challenge, but we've been able to handle it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Pula. All right, Blake, the livestock food markets.
No.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. been pretty busy. Got several things I wanted to kind of catch you up on. I included in your packets like normal some of the market numbers and just so you can kind of see how things have been going. You kind of, if you look at that master market report, I kind of got there. I've got April, May, and June broke down. With the prices the way they are, we're kind of seeing some kind of interesting trends. The numbers are down from what they were last year, but with prices being better, I think we're seeing a lot of cattle spread out sold, not so much in spurts. And of course, weather's been good, so it's been kind of scattered out more over the year. But that's kind of where we came in right there. But that it's not far off, but the numbers are definitely down from where we were this time last year. One thing too, we are seeing this past week, not that it's going to hang there, but definitely we have noticed the trend in the calves have slowed down and the cows are picking up at the markets. But that's kind of be expected with everything and the time of year and everything. So, but been very blessed. Prices have definitely been holding in there. Hope things keep going well and going good. I did include this past quarter, since I've met with you guys, we did have one county fair, that'd be Independence County. I did include that just so you kind of see their numbers. Obviously here pretty quick, we're going to have some more numbers for y'all to look at, but that was the main one right there. Like normal, I went ahead and included the flea market and swap meets just to kind of keep everybody abreast of kind of what we're seeing out there. Obviously, as we've stated before, BB's the most consistent, so that's the one I kind of include a lot of times, just so y'all kind of see the number of poultry going through there and a lot of things that can cause issue, and obviously turns into sick bird calls and some other things at times. And of course, there's the other ones that we checked this past quarter, and then obviously you can see the grand total down there, kind of what the flea markets and swap meets that were reported turned into. As far as activities go, definitely have been busy. As Dr. Niles alluded to, we did complete that. I kind of mentioned it to you last time because we were right there about to do that project on the NAD prep grant, wrapping up the CO2 equipment. That did go really well. Like I said, we partnered with JBS and several others to get that, but that definitely gave us another tool in the toolbox. In the unfortunate event, we do have a disease outbreak and got to put down lots of animals quickly and try to get it contained with a foreign animal disease or whatever it may be when we've got trade implications and other things going on. So that definitely is another tool. We are looking into some things. There are some people expanding on the foaming and possibility even on larger animals. So there's some things that's going about, looking at different options and things if we did have to put down a lot of animals quick and humanely and to vet standards to where they're not suffering and they don't know what's happening to them, that kind of thing. So I'll kind of move forward off of that. Also, since we had several guys that their BQA courses had run out, and so we're able to schedule that with Maggie. So she came in and we did kind of an extended version. They had now BQA kind of has some modules more on handling and towards even some market stuff. So she kind of covered some of that. So we got everybody back up on that because we try to keep everybody with BQA, since that is one of the main things we are is around cattle and handling and safety for our guys also, and for the animals and other workers. So we've talked about filaria a lot today, but we've kind of been doing some preparing on the field side too. Since we met last, we actually did schedule some bleeding trainings in a few of the markets, and we appreciate those markets working with us. Obviously, for everybody that's been around those, at one time that was our bread and butter. We were bleeding any cow that had to be eligible to sell. We had to get a negative test for brucellosis. We haven't bled any cows since September of 2015 in the markets. Luckily, the need has not been there, but we are concerned with some of the filaria and other things that come up, and we got several newer inspectors, and we just want to make sure that we knew they had the capability, but just kind of working through the flow, keeping the barns moving because we don't want to interrupt commerce and all that. It went excellent. Way better than we thought, but we just ran through a whole deal. We didn't actually test for anything. We were mainly just pulling the blood sample on the kill cows and all that. But it went really well. Guys did great. It was a great learning opportunity. We actually did a jug stick and did tail bleeding on everything. So everybody did roughly a dozen to 15 apiece and went really well. Didn't hold the markets up. Didn't have any issues. So appreciate that. Part of that too is we're trying to make sure all the guys are equipped. We are trying to and getting information disseminated to the guys. We are looking for ticks in the markets. If you know anything about the longhorn, they are very peculiar about how they are on the animal. They definitely cluster. They do reproduce asexually, so you will see a huge explosion in one area of the ticks. So if you see an ear and it's got a ton of ticks right there, it's a good possibility it's this tick. So you need to be very cautious about that. And Dr. Moffat's done some good presentations on it. I know U of A has done some good presentations too, but actually there's actually been reports in other states where they actually ended up killing the animal. They just kept reproducing so much. And of course they weren't being managed well to catch it, but actually killed the animal. So we will be collecting some ticks, especially if we suspicion that, and trying to pluck those and put them in prepared samples and get those to U of A. U of A's graciously helped us with that to do some testing to identify where some of those may be. As part of with our EID, which I'll get into in a minute, we have been doing some outreach to cattlemen's meetings too. We're getting a lot of questions about Thaleria and the ticks at the meetings. And of course, there's a lot of good information that we can provide from the inspectors to that. And then obviously some things that we would defer to extension or veterinarians for treatment and things like that. But definitely, I would urge everybody today, they definitely, if most everybody that's walked around any this year, you've got a mess of ticks. There's a pretty good crop of them. So I would definitely encourage any kind of tick control and all that with your cattle. And then also Dr. Moffat and several others have worked together, put some fact sheets together. I know Extension's got some, but we've got some from the department side. We've put those in the markets and other places. We have them available if you need anything to look at. It's just kind of a quick blurb of here's symptoms, here's issues, here's treatment recommendations, blah, blah, blah. If you need more information, that kind of thing. So just putting that out there. EID, I know that's a hot topic right now. We are trying to get around. We've done quite a few local meetings. We still are available. If anybody ever wants us to come talk about that kind of stuff, we're happy to come talk about it. Obviously, still the biggest confusion and concern is that everything has to be tagged. That's not true. Really, overall, the simplest way to put it, as most of y'all know, is nothing really changed that much with the rule of what has to be tagged itself or what's eligible. It's just the type of tag that's going to be used. And so we're getting a lot of questions, but obviously, if a lot of y'all have probably seen it, there's still a lot of bad information floating around on Facebook. That one little piece of notebook paper picture that y'all seen go around quite a bit. It keeps saying that about 100% tagging. They're not telling you the truth, that kind of stuff. So just be aware of that. If you got any questions, please reach out to us. We actually have a booth here today. We're happy. We got the full demo. If you would like to see us run through the scale head and all that kind of stuff, because the federal ID number, yes, it's critical for doing the disease management. If we did have an outbreak and animal disease traceability and moving animals safely, and also keeping our trade options open with the foreign trade. But there's a lot of benefits to a producer if they want to get into that, to where there's actually a benefit for them also, and we will be happy to help y'all with that. I didn't bring them with me, but also I have created some simple frequently asked question sheets and a few other things because it's a lot of questions we keep getting over and over again on the EID tags, and then also placement, because we get a lot of concerns about them coming out and placement and all this. And I know for some of you that sit on the commission for a while, you've heard me talk about this multiple times, so I'll try to keep it quick, but we're trying to help get information out there. We've had requests from Farm Bureau and some others about possibly coming up with some fact sheets. So we are working on that. We've got the first set out, but we'll be trying to put some more. And it's just, like I say, some common questions we get on that. We have had a lot of people interested. We've had a lot of breeders come online this last quarter and had us out there, and we tagged their cattle herds and helped them get their records in there and all that. And again, we keep the premise ID and the tag numbers associated with that, but all that information we help them get in their system. That's their stuff. That's their cattle information. We don't care nothing about that. That's their production. Bell Point Ranch, Sug, Hereford, Sugar Hill, Angus, Blair Walker, Brent Fry, Greg Taylor. That's just throwing some out there, but that's several guys that have done quite a bit of work with us in this last quarter. So we're happy. There's more. I know I've missed some, but we just wanted to throw some of those out there because we're pretty fat. They were very happy with it. They were happy with us. So, we have started using the EIDs at 3 markets, just kind of a pilot to make sure that everything flowed there. It's working excellent. It's speeding things up. It really is, other than just, you're always gonna have a trade-off on some things, but boom, you just scan the tag. We're getting a lot more cattle in since other states are using them. They're coming in with the EID tags anyway. So boom, when you scan it, it goes right into our program and just keep things rolling. But no complaints from the barn or anybody else. So luckily that's going well, and we're going to start using them soon. I know Dr. Niles mentioned that cutoff date earlier, but we're planning to kind of get everybody rolled in before that. Just, we don't want to wait till last minute to get, we've got the tags and we've got the personnel, so we're going to do that. And then we've also been able to loan out some more equipment. Dr. Niles has put a classroom set together and some other things with the readers. So we're actually have that available for some of the FFA chapters and other things if they want to do some lessons or anything on that. So that is available also. Just want to make sure everybody was aware of that. And then sorry, I had a point I was going there, y'all. I got to hush and get down. I know I'll talk all day. Oh, but anyway, and to say that also with the readers, we have had some more veterinarians come to us and request those on loan. So we still have enough that we can cover our stuff and still have some available if extension agent, a fair or veterinarian needs to loan one. We still can make that happen right now. And then also we do have the big scale heads. We don't just send those to anybody, but we'll be happy to we can get one to somebody to use for a few days and try it out and all that. But those we do keep up with a little bit better. So with that being said, I'm gonna hush, and like I said, come by the booth and see us. We got lots of stuff going on. And if y'all got any concerns or questions, like I said, I know there's a lot of questions coming up on the EIDs and movement and a lot of that. But like I said, the biggest thing is everything's got to be 100% ID. That's not true. Can I move my cattle across the state lines to another market without tagging? Yes, you still can. You get one move to that market. So there's a lot of things like that, and I won't take our time here discussing it, but just some things like that to make you think about it. If you got any questions, come by and see us. We can probably get that answered for you. So, Mr. Chairman, that's all I got.
All right,
I'll hush.
Thank you, Blake. Any questions for him? Okay, Kate.
In the cell line industry, we're having a lot of, I don't know if there's any policy, procedures, or protocol, you have anything in place to help. So a lot of times it goes back to, so the buyer buys it, they refuse to pay for it, and back to the barn, we go back to the seller.
Yes, ma'am. And that obviously that we've had that come to us before, and definitely would be happy to talk about it again, because I'm not saying it doesn't need to be brought back up, but right now, obviously nothing's really being done. We know there's people trying to test out of it and see, but from our point, we're not doing, not because we don't want to. I'm just saying at this time, there's not really anything in place policy wise or reg to take care of that. But definitely, if you want to come talk to us, we'd be happy to see what we can look into and develop.
It's not a program disease and affordable. So that really kind of thing is that.
But definitely not saying we can't talk about it or look at it, because obviously it's been a concern for a long time. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Blake.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it. All right, turn it over to Tillman with the meat inspection program.
All right, so at this time with the meat inspection program, we haven't had any new plants come under or to gain the grant of inspection over the last quarter. The reason behind that is, of course, under that next bullet point, which is that the position that I had vacated with my promotion has just now been filled. She just started doing inspections last week. So that has freed me up, so that we can give those 5 plants now. On your papers, it'll say 3. But in the last 3 days, I've had 2 more facilities turn in an application to gain the grant of inspection. Out of the 3 that had originally submitted applications, 2 of them have turned in all of their documentation, and that is being reviewed right now to make sure that everything that it needs to cover is covered. At this time, we have 3 facilities that are asking for daily inspection activities, which we're doing the best we can between myself and the 2 inspectors to get them as many opportunities for inspected slaughter activities as we can. But, at this time, we're not able to give that to them with our current setup. We're still doing our custom exempt reviews. This has been an ongoing task. It's something we have to have completed during the calendar year. Between conducting investigations and doing inspection tasks, we have been working on those. And if I remember correctly, as of yesterday, I think we're down to 8 more facilities that we know of in the state that we have to go and take a look at. And then I have the productions for the 4th quarter of the year. We had 136,228 pounds of beef, 31,891 pounds of pork, 305 pounds of lamb, and 82 pounds of goat that were all inspected and passed and entered into interstate commerce, which gave us a total of 506 pounds of production. For the first half of the calendar year, we ended up with a total of 273,704 pounds that was produced under inspection and has entered into interstate commerce. To add into this, I didn't get this listed in here, but the week of August the 5th, we will undergo our USDA audit. And our hope is at the conclusion of that audit, we will be found as at least equal to. If that is found, we'll be able to begin submitting applications for CIS status, which is where facilities will be able to do their slaughter and processing activities under state inspection, but then that product can then travel across state lines for resale elsewhere in the nation. And then, of course, also on here, I have a beef checkoff update as well for the commission. We've been trying to put a lot of focus on being in livestock markets. This is where the primary exchange of livestock happens. And that being said, since this is where a lot of the checkoff dollars that get paid in come from, we feel it's important that we get out there and we make sure that those producers understand what's happening with that dollar. We recently attended the summer business meeting in San Diego. There were many different meetings. We scored several different proposals for the promotion of beef and research in beef. Those will be reviewed in October by the operating committee on the national side of the checkoff for decisions as far as funding and what they're going to what they're going to do and what they're going to pass along. But anyway, then there was a discussion whenever I first took this position, and Patrick made me aware that the beef checkoff was going to be a part of what I did. I started looking into it, and in that ended up realizing this is where it's kind of nice where I have the beef checkoff and the meat inspection, because being familiar with the Federal Meat Inspection Act, I knew the language that determined if it was a custom exempt slaughter or an inspected slaughter. For that reason, I brought it to Patrick's attention that we have a collection point that's not been utilized for the checkoff, and that is a custom exempt processor. Many times whenever this happens, whenever consumers want to purchase beef, they don't necessarily know the farmer, but they can get a hold of the processor. And as enough orders come in to warrant the sale of a head of beef, that sale will take place where the custom exempt operator is basically working in the same capacity that a livestock auction or market works in. And so for that reason, at this time, the CBB, the Cattlemen's Beef Board, is currently presenting a rule to the USDA that will be under review that will allow custom exempt processors to be a collection point. for the checkoff. The Beef Council has been sponsoring several different events across the state. As of right now, the two major sponsorships that we have are the Arkansas Naturals and the Arkansas Travelers. And then, as I have discussed in other meetings today, on August the 29th at War Memorial Stadium, we will be kicking off a statewide Best Burger Contest. We'll kick it off on the 29th. Nominations for that competition will begin on September 1st and end on September 30th. And then, of course, at that point, we will send judges across the state to the top 2 in each of the 5 regions to determine who the overall winner and state champion is. And then also I want to extend an invitation that tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. next door in room, I believe it's 206, we'll have our Beef Council meeting. If there's no questions, that's all I have.
Any questions for Tim? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sure appreciate you. All right, we'll move into NPIP with Kevin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Simmons. I'm with the National Poultry Improvement Plan. In my report, on the first page, you see all the numbers for the quarter. If there's nothing out of the ordinary there, but if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. So in the report for the quarter, I completed 5 company inspections. All company inspections are current at this time. Completed 13 processing plant inspections. All of those are current at this time. We have completed 4 hatchery inspections for the 2024 cycle. Commercial table egg companies are all up to date at this time. Completed 2 biosecurity audits during the quarter, and all of our NPIP labs are up to date currently. In May, our office was pretty busy completing our commercial and private pollen typhoid testing schools. We had them in 3 locations, one in Batesville, one in Little Rock, and one in Fayetteville. You can see the number of attendees for this year's round of schools. We had 15 attendees for our commercials, 74 private testers, 45 of which were first-year attendees. It's always good to get that number of private testers in the state up because somebody's always looking for an avenue to test birds. So the more private testers we have in the state, the better off we are. I'm proud to announce that Form Typhoid Antigen is available through AVS Bio. It has been kind of difficult for the last almost 2 years to get our hands on antigen. We did have a contingency plan in place for that time whenever it was unavailable. So they still have 2 volumes. One's a 14 mil volume bottle, and then the other's a 40. I know most folks won't use 40 mils before it expires, but the company has started extending expiration dates on those. So the shelf life is almost 2 years now. I think the last round was in March of 2026. So for our office and our LSIs, I have an additional 30 14 mil bottles available. So last year, we were able to help some of the county fairs by providing a bottle if they needed that. So we may be in a position to be able to help some. I don't have enough to give every private tester in the state and so forth and so on, but we did work through the fair boards the county extension agents for each county. If they needed one for the fair, they would reach out to us and we would work through them to make sure that those fairs received a bottle. So our commercial table egg sector of NPIP has continued to grow. We've added 3 commercial table egg layer farms to our NPIP program. Happy Egg Company contacted me about a month ago, and they are in the process of building barns on a farm in Northwest Arkansas that will house a pedigree flock for them. That will be the first that I'm aware of pedigree commercial table egg layer flock in the state. It falls under 145G in NPIP. I didn't add it in the report, but Cook's Venture was purchased. They're a meat type operation. They were purchased by a company out of California, Pittman Family Farms. They are still utilizing the breeder and the pedigree flocks here in Arkansas. So we're in a transition phase now from Cook's into a full-time pitman. Also, they have a hatchery out in Decatur, and then they have one in California as well. Moving on to subpart E participation, we still see a pretty steady interest in that program. Right now, we have 147 small flocks in our program. That's an increase of 23 participants since this same time last year. And then a quick update on High Path. As of this morning, the last 30 days, there have been 15 total flocks that have tested positive. That's 8 commercial, 7 backyard, for just a little over 3.5 million birds depopulated in the last 30 days. For the total outbreak, 1,171 confirmed flocks, 508 commercial, 663 backyard. The last detection was on the 24th. 48 states have been affected by high path avian influenza. Within the last 2 weeks, we did go over the 100 million birds depopulated threshold. So we're just a little over 100 million. And they're still picking up detections in wild birds. As of now, USDA Wildlife Services has detected HPAI in 9,555 wild birds. And that concludes my report. If there are any questions.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm just curious, of those producers, are any of those back in production yet, or are they still?
They're in a transition because Cook still had breeder flocks in the field. And for our traceability, we asked that they remain under the Cook's name and farm name. That once they replace those farms or restock, then they can go with whatever they want to call those farms. It just helps us to be able to track the disease if there was an outbreak in one of those operations. It is my understanding that the broiler farms will not be utilized. It's just their what they call their pedigree flock there at their location in around Decatur, and then their multiplier flocks that are in Arkansas and Oklahoma. They have some across the state.
Any other questions, Kevin? Thank you, sir.
Mhm.
All right, since Dr. Moffitt's not with us, all right, Patrick.
Dr. Niles pretty much covered everything that Dr. Moffitt had on his. I'll just go into mine. First thing I'll talk about is just some issues that's come up about our bovine health dollar. Been some rumors on that, so just want to make sure that you all are clear on what's been talked about and what the issues are at this point. I think we all know back in the 80s and 90s, brucellosis area, there was $1 assessed by the legislator that would charge $1 for every cow sold in Arkansas. That was under the umbrella or the definition of brucellosis eradication program. And we kept that title for several years, but in 2020, that language was changed. There was still considerable awareness of bovine diseases in the state. So there was a lot of support to continue on that program. However, because we had pretty much eradicated brucellosis in 1987, there was still concern about future diseases. So that program was changed to the Bovine Disease Control and Eradication Program. So that's what it's listed as right now. Some of the issues that have come up in this past session, there was a bill introduced that would eliminate that dollar outright. That sponsor pulled that down for 23, but plans to introduce that again in 25. So the intent there is to remove that dollar from that program, which would pretty much leave our industry at pretty vulnerable, because I would have to eliminate almost 60% of my staff, because we'll bring in right around $700,000 a year for that program. That would give me around 8 employees, 8 inspectors to cover 26 markets, not to mention all the special cattle sales and events that go on, 75 fairs, and that's also not counting all the jackpot shows and complaints. So we really put a damper on what we accomplished in the early 80s, because we got caught unprepared for brucellosis. It took us about 15 years to eradicate that disease. And that was because we just didn't have the equipment, we didn't have the staff, and we just were not prepared. We are now. losing that program would revert us back to that situation. And as you're all aware, we have foot and mouth disease that are threatening our state, our country, as well as brucellosis is still out there. We haven't had any cases, but we do get tracebacks from time to time. But leaving that inspection or that opportunity for our inspectors to do an excellent job out in the field of monitoring that disease, monitoring traffic, cattle coming in and out of the states, would leave us in a pretty bad situation. We have been, I've been talking to several partners and stakeholders, and we are getting quite a bit of support from that. Farm Bureau stands behind us. Their policy is to promote and support us on that, as well as Cattlemen Association support that dollar as well. So I just want to kind of give you some little insight on what's going on and what potentially could happen this next session.
Patrick?
Yes.
While we're on that subject, I think some of the questions or discussion about that dollar is whether it was being used by the department on other species and with cattlemen, paying the way. And so talk about that a little bit. I think I think we need it, but I think that's where we've got to defend is, and there is some fairness issues if it's a charge to beef cattle and being used, on other species. They need to carry their weight as well. So address that issue.
Yeah, and I kind of guess I skipped over that, but there are some things that have brought this to light. One of these issues is that each market would place that brucellosis fee on their invoice. I think most of them have removed that, but we still have some out there that have that brucellosis fee. So we get a lot of calls, why are we still testing for brucellosis and why are we still charging for it? That's the reason for the name change. There was an audit done a couple months ago through DFNA that did find some miscoding errors. There was in a year or a couple of months time frame, we had 23 different transactions that were miscoded. And the majority of them, from what I understand and what I've seen the report, is that during that avian influenza outbreak, we had some meals that was charged to brucellosis dollars, some Cokes, some Gatorade, some meals, some snacks, and some things. But again, that was really a miscoding and not necessarily charging the industry for what poultry are doing. We're doing a pretty good job right now. We have changed some of our methods and how we are tracking each one. All of our inspectors are trained to do other tasks. We don't have just bovine inspectors, equine inspectors. So they all do a mixture of everything at this point. So their duty is to charge them what work they've done for that particular species. And we're keeping up with that much better now. So it was a good thing that we did. We kind of found some errors that we need to be able to trace, but nothing is being done maliciously by any means. We're not purposely charging the bovine dollar to go do poultry work in that sense. So yeah, that's a good point. We are making that argument as well. And there has been some talk about the poultry industry contributing as well. There is some talks on that. I don't know where that will go. Someone asked that, well, won't we charge $1 per chicken? Well, me and Wes will be driving a Cadillac for a vehicle. So that's a little far-fetched, but equal contributing to the program and the work that we do out in the field has been considered.
Hey, Patrick, me and Sarah would be crawling.
All right, on the fairs, fair funding has been released. That's fair season by all means, and we're our staff out there doing an excellent job of getting fairs prepared. We've already had a few, but good note is, to my knowledge, this is the first time that we've been fully appropriated for fair funding. We've always gotten around $750,000, a little less than that, in actual funding. We've always been appropriated about $1.5 million, where we were fully funded. So we were able to distribute $1.4 million to fairs this year, with the exception of the one-time COVID money. I believe that's the most fairs have ever gotten. So hopefully they'll be satisfied with that. There'll be fairly business as usual at fairs with the advent of checking for ticks, as Blake alerted to at the markets. We'll also be doing that at the fairs. You know, pests are just as much of a concern as disease itself. So we're looking at that, as well as we have done a public notice a couple of days ago, as well as a letter to the fairs that the state is recommending that any lactating dairy cow be tested prior to moving into the shows. So we don't know exactly how the fairs will go and move with that, but that is a high recommendation for us. As Dr. Niles had alluded to, we've got several cases of high fat in dairy. Now, I would caution everyone that this is a bovine issue, not necessarily dairy. If it's affecting dairy, it can affect beef as well. So we're trying to do everything we can to eliminate that threat. Kevin mentioned there was 3 million birds, I think last week, maybe the week before last, that were contracted with the virus. From what I understand, that virus came from a dairy operation. So there is that cross contamination. And we're trying to get everyone alerted. Please be aware of your biosecurity measures. If you have poultry houses and beef, make sure you separate those two. I guess I'll end that with just a addition to some of the things that Dr. Niles and Blake covered on the malaria. They did a good job on that. This is a new disease. It was first found in the United States in 2017 in a cow in West Virginia, or Virginia. So this is new to us. And from currently right now with the 8 cases that we have, with what we believe to be about a 5% mortality rate, it is really a low economic impact to the state at this point. So we're trying to communicate with USDA as an overall 50,000 foot picture, and communicating with our neighboring states to see how they're handling this disease as well, before we pull the trigger on any other major actions. It is a reportable disease. However, we would like to see commerce continue to move and make sure we don't have any interruptions there. Okay, that will conclude my report. If there's no questions, move on to veterinarian complaints and cases. I believe that's in your 9 tab, second page is where we'll start. We have 6 cases to review. These are cases that the Veterinary Medical Committee has reviewed, and their findings. Dr. Malone has offered to go ahead and give the summary of those cases, each one of those docket numbers, as well as the recommendation from the committee. Dr. Malone?
Thank you. So we went through these in our last committee meeting, and I'll just this gives a little brief synopsis of what was going on with each case and then our findings. And then we'll obviously turn it over to the commission for the final judgment. On docket 2023-06, the Arkansas Code 17-101-305, which is claim of incompetence, gross negligence, or other malpractice. The complaint was filed after a complainant had taken the parrot to the veterinarian for an international health certificate, going to Mexico, and the complainant had their health certificate denied 4 different times. And the complaint came out of the concern of time in the process, information, and lack of communication. A motion was made by Dr. Kate Williams and seconded by Dr. Rob Connor to table the decision on this docket until the next meeting. There was some more information needed from the records from the veterinarian clinic that the committee wanted to see before making a recommendation. So it was tabled at that time for the next meeting. The next docket, 2024-01, 17101-305, incompetence, gross negligence, and other malpractice. The complaint filed against the complainant. The person had taken their 7-month-old dog, Max, to the respondent for a surgery, a bilateral crypt orchid surgery. This is where neither testicle is descended from the abdomen. The dog was sedated in the room because of some behavior issues there that morning, and the surgery was performed later that day. Unfortunately, the dog passed away during recovery. all of the facts were read and a motion was made by Dr. Rob Connor and seconded by Dr. Sarah Klein and passed to recommend that the Livestock and Poultry Commission, the complaint be dismissed. No violations were found. Unfortunate incident, but no violations were found. Docket 2024-02. Same code 17101-305, incompetence, gross negligence, or malpractice. The complaint filed after complainant had taken their 9-week-old dog to the veterinarian for a health certificate. Dr. Beach wrote a small animal interstate health certificate, a CVI. Did check for parasites. When the dog arrived at its destination, there were several complaints about the dog's conformation and some other physical attributes. These were not covered in a CVI. This is just for infectious disease. And it was motion made by Dr. Sarah Klein, seconded by Dr. Williams, and passed to recommend that the complaint be dismissed because there was no violation against the Veterinary Practice Act in that case either. Moving to docket 2024-03, 17101-305, incompetence, gross negligence, and malpractice. The complaint was filed after the complainant had taken their dog to the veterinarian for a yearly round of shots, and there were some questions about heartworm testing. There was no evidence that the veterinarian had done anything wrong. The complainant had failed to comply with buying any heartworm prevention. A motion was made by Dr. Sarah Klein, seconded by Dr. Kate Williams, and passed to recommend that the Livestock and Poultry Commission dismiss this due to no violations against the Veterinary Practice Act. Docket 2024-04. Same code 17101-305, incompetence, gross negligence, or malpractice. Also 17101-305, fraud or dishonesty in application of reporting any test of disease. 17101-305-8, failure to maintain professional premises and equipment in a clean and sanitary fashion. 17101-305, cruelty to animals. And 17101-305-11, unprofessional conduct by violation of a rule promulgated by the commission under this chapter. For a veterinarian to undertake the care of an animal and therefore fail to render the care as generally accepted by the veterinary profession, to guarantee a cure, to make false or deceptive statements that belittle the knowledge or injure the professional standing of another member of the profession, or that unnecessarily condemns the character of his professional acts. Provide, however, that nothing herein should be construed to prohibit any thoughtful, non-deceptive statements, including but limited to the truthful, non-deceptive comparative advertising. That's a mouthful. Being guilty of any dishonorable or unethical conduct likely to deceive, defraud, or harm the public, and conduct reflective unfavorably upon the profession of veterinary medicine. 17101-305-12, being unable to practice as a veterinarian with a responsible skill and safety to patients because of illness, the use of drugs, alcohol, narcotics, or chemicals as a result of any mental or physical condition. And then finally, 17101-305-15, over-treating patients or charging for services which does not occur unless the services were contracted for in advance or for services which did not render or document in the patient's record, or charging for services which were not consented to by the owner. So the complaint was filed after a complainant had taken her dog to the veterinarian for a history of diarrhea. A motion was made by Dr. Sarah Klein, seconded by Dr. Kate Williams, and passed to recommend this discussion be tabled with the specifics of the facility inspection and with statements based on collaboration. So there was some claims in this case about the facility, and we had agreed that it'd probably be best to go and inspect the facility firsthand. And then there were witnesses in this case that had signed, and we were waiting on some collaborative information from those witnesses. So that also was recommended to be tabled for the next meeting. docket 2024-05, 17101-305, incompetence, gross negligence, and other practice in the practice of veterinary medicine. Complaint filed after the complainant had taken their dog to the respondent for a yearly round of vaccinations. Again, a motion was made by Kate Williams and seconded by Dr. Robert Connor and passed, that the Livestock and Poultry Commission dismissed due to no violations on the Veterinary Practice Act. So I'm sure we can get into more detail if needed on the commission. Some of these were, again, there was a couple of them that we needed more information to make a decision on, and those were the ones that were tabled.
And open up and discuss. We can move to accept the recommendations of the committee.
I move that we accept the recommendations of the veterinary examining committee.
I second.
Motion made by Dr. Bill Hewitt to accept, second by Bruce Malik. Any further discussion? All right, go ahead, Patrick.
I'd like to make a comment on docket 2024-04. That one was tabled until we can complete an inspection on the facility. We did attempt to do so. We showed up at the location. We spoke with the receptionist. They called the veterinarian, the vet that this case was filed against. He was not present. He was out of town. And he said that we weren't allowed at his facility unless he was there. So we've had to reschedule that, and that's still pending at this point.
Any further discussion? Not, let's go to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposition, motion passed. That conclude. All right. Do we have any old business that we need to bring before the commission? Do we have any new business?
I got 2 copies.
Yeah. Any further business, guys? All right, so I believe our next meeting will be in October. Should be normally do it the week of the state fair. I think that Friday is the 16th.
Is, well, I'll check the date, but now we have moved the junior livestock sale from Thursday night to Friday at noon. I don't know what time that it'll get started, but now, I mean, at 10 o'clock should still work.
We could have it on site if we need to. We can try.
All right, so I don't have my phone with me, Bruce. What day is it? This is
Are you talking the 18th?
The Friday is going to be the October 18th.
How does that look for everybody?
What time are you thinking? 10 a.m.?
That's usually a pretty short meeting, right? Yeah, at 10, Dr. Throne.
Okay.
All right, well, no opposition, we'll go with that, and if anybody has anything that we need to let Linda know, if can't make it or something, we need to reschedule or whatever, but usually that's worked out in the past, is we'll do that Friday there and then move on to the premium sale, so. All right, so I don't see any other action items. Next, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, guys.